Stick around for performance, frame rates, download size, cost. Check out the timeline if you want to skip to a particular section, and what DLCs you get with this version on the Nintendo Switch. It's a little bit odd that we've got LEGO Marvel Superheroes on Switch. Obviously, when the game originally released, the Switch didn't exist, but it just feels a bit strange having it after the sequel, and also not having like a double pack or a deluxe edition that includes other things. With that said though, it really is important for us to look at the performance because a few of my favourite releases have had some issues, and to its credit, LEGO Marvel Superheroes is a fantastic LEGO game, but also a great Marvel title. Thanks to Warner Brothers for the review copy. How does it hold up on the Switch? What are the frame rates? And what's the image quality like? Well, let's find out.
Oh dear.
First up then, when we look at the image quality, the game seems to be running at native resolution, which is a real joy. With those vibrant colours, it's going to look great on the OLED screen, but thankfully across the board it just looks great on Switch. In fact, I was quite surprised, especially when you consider it alongside something like the LEGO Worlds game or even LEGO City Undercover, which ran atrociously. Still a good game, it just didn't run very well. Here though, everything's looking crisp. Now, there isn't a great deal of anti-aliasing going on, meaning that we've got some jaggy edges, but because it's running native or near native, it actually looks great. I did notice some pop in terms of scenery items, but the world's view distance is decent, particularly in that open area. Textures are sharp and cutscene animations have translated along really nicely. This is really important in this title because, as you'll know, it had 180 different characters from the Marvel Universe, and it's important that they look nice and crispy, particularly if you're going to be picking this one up for your kid for Christmas.
I'm reading an incoming ship.
I'm pleased to see that it really has carried over one for one. Particle effects remain intact, those dynamic shadows, as well as the water reflections. It doesn't look like a hugely downgraded Switch version, which makes a change. Let's look then at the frame rates. We'll look at single player, and we'll also check out the performance when playing in co-op, which is where this game certainly shines. There was a bit of a question from the community as to whether it was going to run at 60 FPS like the other versions, and no, it doesn't. But what I will say is it runs out at a locked out 30 FPS and it never dips below this. This is important because the frame pacing is also decent, making the whole thing feel surprisingly smooth. And after the chug fest that was LEGO City Undercover, this is just so much better to play. As you can see, frame rates remain consistent whether you're indoors, outdoors, flying around like Iron Man, checking the underside of a bridge, or testing the temperature of the water. I may have noticed a couple of visual dips when playing in co-op, but again, it's been much more stable for me than other LEGO games I've played on Switch. This is potentially to do with its age, but to my eye it doesn't look much worse than those, and let's just hope this becomes the standard in terms of performance.
Your cheap health plan doesn't cover office visits.
As far as content goes then, well, they've included both of the DLC packs. The first was called the Asgard Character Pack, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, includes characters from Thor, The Dark World, and that included new vehicles, races, and some more characters. And then we've got the cost. Now, the game's going to set you back $39.99, or your regional equivalent. I think it's £34.99 here in the UK. You can buy a physical, but I think that's a code in a box. And in what's maybe not the best marketing move, or I don't know, maybe it is, you can currently get the other one, the LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2, 75% off, which I suppose if you buy them together means they're only a little bit overpriced, and they are excellent games and worth owning if you're a fan of LEGO and Marvel. So that's the performance gubbins out of the way, as well as the price, and it's worth noting that it performs very well in handheld as well. And here are my quick takes on the game itself. It's a funny thing with LEGO games, they can feel very formulaic but still be really fun. It has the drop in and drop out multiplayer synonymous with the series, and most of the puzzles simply involve switching to a different character denoted by their icon and then undertaking whatever skill it is they do. With the Hulk, it might be grabbing something heavy and throwing it, Spidey's going to be firing off webs, and Iron Man's going to be flying all over the shop. It's the lesser publicised characters that I love to play as, and what separates this game from some of the others is just how in-depth these are. Each of them so well realised. There are small little touches and different execution moves you can perform, which while entirely child-friendly can be quite brutal and straight out of the comic books. And just as with the universe, this is a very action-oriented experience, which tends to move from one set-piece boss to the next. However, they're not simply wailed upon to be defeated, each has their own unlock. Despite the overinflated price, I am pleased to have this on Switch, and the sheer number of unlockable characters alongside that cooperative play, even 8 years since its original launch, it's held up really nicely. The soundtrack is classically Marvel and over the top, and some of the voice acting is so far off of its on-screen equivalent as to be a little jarring.
You're headed for a wipeout.
But still, as a LEGO game goes, this is right up there. That's it for this one. Let me know in the comments if you'll be checking this out, if you're a LEGO fan as well. Glen's house is literally decked out with all different LEGO models. The guy is a bit of a fanatic, and I'm sure the code in a box on the physical release is going to irk him just a touch. Thanks to all of you who watch and enjoy this channel. Hopefully we're going to see some of you over at EGX in London on Saturday. And if you enjoy the content, then consider sticking around. Thanks to our patrons. You guys are awesome. Go and check the community post there. We're going to be posting a few bits and bobs about EGX, especially for you guys. And we'll be doing a giveaway as well on Saturday. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya! Bye.